Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? Another day, another you, another me, hitting you with some more Age of Mythology retold action in the bottom side of the map, playing as the Blue Amaterasu. You guys might know him as from the clan TSM. This is Player. For those of you who want a history lesson, he actually has he is one of the players that I cast early days that has actually got one of the most views on my channel. The game between him and Arf Adafang, ARF Adafang, for some reason decided it wanted to explode in the early days of my YouTubing shenanigans. The video has terrible quality. It's got terrible mic quality as well. I think the game was kind of mid, but for some reason it's gotten a bunch of views. But this is that same player, incredibly strong player from way back in the day, one of the best team game players to have ever played the game, and obviously an incredibly strong 1v1 player in his own right as well. His opponent today is none other than the runner-up for the Pandora's Box 2 tournament. This is Tunison, and he's going to be playing as Frere. I've been recently playing Frere and having quite a lot of success with him, to be completely honest. I've played a lot of strong players and some weaker players as well, and I've been really enjoying playing this god. I think he's very, very strong. I think he's situationally strong. There's definitely some maps where you're not going to have too much success on him, but if you pick the god in the right positions, you can definitely have a really, really fun time with him. So for example, this map here on Watering Hole, it's a little bit of a gamble, to be honest, as to whether or not it's going to be a really nice game. But this game here for Tunison is going to be absolutely fantastic. He's got himself a town center, and if you've got a town center close to a gold mine as Frere, you're laughing, because it means you can grab the town center first, then you can set up your Asgardian Bastion next, then you are good to drop a battle boar down and all the other good stuff that comes from that. So we'll see how this game is going to go. Of course, Amaterasu, a lot of people have been saying, one of the strongest Japanese gods at the moment. She's got access to those One Yuro, the Shrine of the Hunt, lots of options to go into mass mass Yumi archers. I'm thinking about the counter to the Yumi archers in the Haskell, but I can go into those mass Yumi archers with the One Yuro, and it can be really, really strong. We've really not been seeing Amaterasu players all too often going for Amano Uzume, which, to be honest, I'm still a little bit on the edge. I'm not quite sold on this new meta that everyone's been doing. I still think that Amano Uzume's got a very, very good purpose inside of the Amaterasu game plan. You could definitely still use the weasels for maximum value and to include in your army, combining with the solar shield early game can be really, really powerful. But players just aren't really wanting to do it. In fact, if I jump over to the stats right now, let me just have a little quick look at the exact stats for Amaterasu at the moment. She's actually, well, I mean, it's kind of close at the mid level, but if you go up to 1600 plus, you'll see Amaterasu's basically over double the pick rate for Minakatsutomi at the moment. People are still picking Amano Uzume, but just a lot less than they used to. It used to be kind of like 90-10. Now it's more like 60-40 or 70-30 or something in favor of Minakatsutomi. Nonetheless, you see a little bit of a later advance from Tunison, and I think this is partly due to almost the meta gaming. You can kind of expect your opponent to not go for an early rush here with the weasels in your main base as Frere, even though it's going to be really powerful here. You kind of just say, I just don't expect them to do it. No worries. Start building some dudes, getting some stuff, and you can get your upgrades in. As you can see, the Tunison has gone for hand axe pickaxe. He's going to get some longhouses down right away, and the easy start here for Tunison is just to look to get walls set up onto this side. So you wall this, you wall this, you wall this, while getting a longhouse or two up and making some throw and axemen, and Tersa, or even just Tersa is fine as well. And then you look to move over here and secure this town center. Now, of course, player has already dropped his second town center, and Tunison is desperately scouting around for this. His Berserk is at 12 HP as the Miko moving up onto this side. She sees 12 HP and she goes, I deal 8.8 melee attack damage. I will slap your Berserk if we're not careful. Now, of course, that is at a attack rate of 2. The actual attack damage per second is only 4.4. And yeah, the Berserk here is going to go down, I think, as player has got a 6.3 speed Kitsune. He's also got the 1 Udok coming in. Tunison still hasn't spotted the fact that this is a 2-town center Amaterasu. It is slightly offbeat for a Amaterasu player to opt into this versus Norse. Yeah. But yeah, in this sort of a situation, there's definitely no problems with this. And especially when you got the Shrine of the Hunt set up there as well. So what does Tunison need to do? Well, he has to send another Hersa in, get some more scouting information through, and quickly make a decision. Now, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter if you're 2-ish minutes behind on the second town center as Norse, because it doesn't cost as much to pay this off. So you're already in the win. You're already kind of like, okay. Of course, you've also Frere being a little bit behind on villager count doesn't matter because your technologies cost a little bit less. You're going to be able to make up for the fact that you're a little bit behind here by playing a delayed reactive second town center. No problems here for Tunison. Player, on the other hand, he's got to start thinking about ways in which he can basically get to the middle of the map, secure this, and maybe also lock this off. You allow Tunison to get set up on the map and you can set up all of his walls all over the place. That's where things are going to get a little bit tricky for the Amaterasu. You can charge forward, set up all over the place here and here, and then you're also good to go. Nonetheless, we've got ourselves some more units coming through for the player. Tunison's going to be setting up a market and potentially an armory. I'm surprised he goes into a market here, to be honest. Armory and immediately starting to research those slow but cheap armory upgrades makes a lot of sense right now. Market to sort of sort out your terrible macro. I don't like that play here. Just let the gold trickle up and then be ready to use that potentially in the heroic age for battle boards or for Jarls or for raiding cavalry or something high gold cost. And then you're good to go. But he might be able to just buy some wood and drop that town center in the middle there as well. But he drops the Asgardian Bastion first and foremost on this position. Another really, really good town center here with the back gold mine. Hunt town center is going to be nice. And we are going to be seeing Raijin coming through for player. Now, what are the other options? You could go for the Tengu. You could go for the Shogun Hachiman option, which feels good, but I think against Norse, you really do want to make your infantry stronger. So this is also part of the reason why maybe Minakata Tomi's sometimes, it depends on the matchup, it depends on the map, but against Frere, Minakata Tomi might not be the better choice, and Amano Uzume might be, because you want to make sure that your infantry are a lot stronger. 10% extra HP for your samurai, then you go Raijin for an extra 15% HP, and lifesteal with that Hanya mask, and then also going for what's it called? My brain's just Takamikazuchi. You go into Takamikazuchi and you get even more HP on your samurai in order to actually match up against the fact that the Frere has got plus 20% total over all their upgrades, plus 20% total HP on all their units. So if you can get your samurai to be really, really powerful, and that's going to be an answer for Huskar, it's going to be an answer for Berserk, it's going to be an answer for Hersa, and then you can also make your Yati Spearman really good versus any sort of cavalry they're making. And then, of course, you can just go into your Yumi Horse Archer or Yumi Archer in general to actually take out the throw and axe, and you can have a good fight there as well. But player sitting onto this spot, he has spotted the fact there's an Asgardian hill fort here. He knows he can't really do much there, but he just needs to make sure that this town center doesn't go up, so he doesn't have to deal with anything there as the Naginata Rider raids do come through. Tunison has fallen victim to mistake number one in this game, which is, why is there not a wall set up on the back here? These house walls here don't really make a huge amount of sense. if this isn't fully walled off. He could have walled up to his wood line as well to save a little bit of resource. He had plenty of gold before. Now he's got none. Of course, he's been min-maxing, trying to get himself to the heroic age as fast as he possibly can while getting his armory upgrades. 3 armories set up as well. Love that. This is going to allow him to get all 3 of his bronze upgrades in the in less time and for cheaper than any other player can actually get them for. And now Tunison under attack in the middle of the map. The one Udok coming in. There's really not that much room to make this really work, but the one Udok actually tanking the hill fort will allow player to actually take this fight to some degree, as well, unless the hill fort decides to attack something else, but it doesn't. There's more raids coming around, running around the map here, getting chased away. This is one thing that I really don't like dealing with as Frere, and this is why you'll see Frere players at the highest of level, and I know Tunison is literally at the highest level and he's not doing this, but players like who are Frere specialists at the high level will often just get the entirety of the map walled up. There's no excuses to not do it as Frere. You can also go into stone walls as well. Very, 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 very strong. And it shuts down those speedy Naginata Rider raids that you don't want to deal with. Getting things up like Herdman and stuff like that obviously will beat the Naginata Rider, but they don't have the speed to chase them down. And the way to slow down that speed is by walling everything up. And now Tunison is almost fully walled. He just needs to get walls up over onto this side. Of course, the walls that he currently has does not play around docks. You can definitely just drop a dock here for a transport ship into dropping off over here, and then all of a sudden we're in the main base of Tunison yet again. But player now looking for his opportunity to take a big fight. Unfortunately for Tunison here, he doesn't have this town center, so any sort of Ghoul and Bursty plus Tempest angle not really going to be working here. So we'll see how it's all going to go as the Rock Giant gets that taunt on there. There goes the Thunderburst, but Tunison decides to stick in it for just a little bit there. Now he decides, okay, let's bail out of here. He's almost halfway researched on Feast of Renown, which is effectively exactly what he needs to counter all of this Thunderburst. He drops down the Tempest there, and player will oblige by saying, no worries, I got some damage off, I'll run away. You get some damage off, it's fine. A couple of units get frozen, they will end up dying. Everyone takes damage. I would say Tunison actually comes out in front. Tunison comes out in front. He gets a whole bunch more kills, and he's going to be able to heal up his units very, very shortly. And if I was Tunison here, I would look to grab this town center and sit underneath this position, not looking for any fights here, just on the fact that Feast of the Round is about to come in, and it is going to be, 0.5 HP? Or is it 1? I think it's 1 HP a second on every one of the buildings. So if you sit on this side, that's 3 HP a second. There, the units are now going to be going back up to full HP pretty quickly here. And then there's going to be a Ghoul and Bursty to utilize here as well. So a perfect situation for Tunison to completely nullify the damage that Thunderburst did. But at the moment, the next really cool thing about Frere that I think a lot of people forget is that his buildings, as he does drop the Ghoul and Bursty, his buildings can get repaired for free. And it doesn't cost you any resources in terms of gather rate to repair with Norse either, because you don't have to use your villagers to repair. Of course, you could use your villagers to repair with Frere, but nonetheless, Tunison says, it's time to make this fight happen. I got my Ghoul and Bursty. Half my units are at half HP. Even though I could sit back and heal them up, he decides it's time to go, and player will say, no worries, I'll run through my walls and get away from your Ghoul and Bursty. You can kill off my castles if you like. This is going to be a good fight for me behind my walls. And now Tunison needs to shoot and scoot out of here. And I think player actually, funnily enough, ends up getting the better of Tunison with these God Power usages. Like normally, God Powers get dropped and you end up being the one who gets the advantage. But in this situation here, Tunison, he's basically just giving Bushido over to player. And I don't think he got a huge amount of favor out of it either. But nonetheless, the fight is over. Tunison and player both looking for their mythic ages, Takemi Kazuchi, and it's going to be Vidar. I'm not surprised to see Takemi Kazuchi because of what I said earlier about you wanting to get the strongest samurai. But a completely different option would be to go for the Amano Uzume option for just a little bit of extra samurai, and then go for Okuni Nushi, specifically for Ombaraki and double Goshin Boku trees so that you can just always have them up, as the units now charging in here to take this fight, and not really looking like this is going all too well for Tunison. I don't fully understand why he's forcing the fights here. I feel like player is just in a better position. Armory situation for player. He is behind on the armory upgrades. It might be what Tunison is feeling like. He's got the bronze upgrade advantage. He's now making Yals to counter up the archers on the back line, and this should force out Yadi Spearman from player, which it is doing. But for the moment here, fighting underneath double castles, this is just never going to be the best idea. You don't want to be doing this. Player doesn't have himself crenellations here, so the castles could be doing more damage. But you really never want to be taking those heavy fights underneath that situation there. Just giving Bushido over to the Amaterasu player, as player is now up to, well, he's up to a quarter of the way through, up to champion, which is exactly what he needs to compete here. If he can get to tier 4 before Tunison gets to champion, that should be really, really good for him. Tier 4? Tier 3? Yeah, tier 3? Tier 4? Tier 1 is 0 upgrades, tier 2 is medium, tier 3 is heavy, tier 4 is champion. Yeah, up to tier 4. As we are going to be seeing some rock giants now coming through for Tunison. I like the angle here of basically anytime your opponent is making infantry units and you're making Cav or you're making Huskal, you want those rock giants. You don't need a huge amount of them, but you want those rock giants in your army. As Tunison yet again trying to make these fights work. I'm still a little surprised on all of this. I don't think these fights... He's got another Tempest. I can't say I like this usage of Tempest, but he's going to go for the Tempest. Still fighting underneath the castle. Still giving Bushido over to player. Player's also grabbing a town center behind this. Player's way in front on the military resource count. By all intents and purposes, this looks like a pretty big throw from Tunison. He was in a good spot with all that favor to be throwing into units like the Rock Giant, like the Fafnir. He did cancel those in favor of using a Tempest to try and make this push work. Does not work out for him. Not a good usage of that favor in the slightest. In fact, for Norse in general, God Power, extra God Power usages are normally the suboptimal usage. Normally they're the suboptimal usage. Sometimes they're very much the better way to play, but in this position, definitely not for Tunison here. Talent Center ends up falling, and now player is well and truly in the driver's seat. Asgardian Hillfort going to be going down. The next one going to be falling as well. All of those Oyumi are out, and Tunison, he's going to have to figure out which way to go right now, as Vidar on the way, and he does at the very least get himself a Mythic Age on the way here. And I think mostly the reason he's got that Mythic Age is, well, he just doesn't have the population. He's literally just cut himself on military, and he's going to lose a lot of resources here in infrastructure. If player notices the dwarves over here, which he doesn't see them, he would be able to get some good damage there. But now Tunison needs to pull back up onto this gold mine, and guess what? Player now with, if player really switches into map control, center map control mode here, walks forward, drops castle in the center, and grabs this town center. He needs to do all of these things. Then I think Tunison here, he's going to find himself in a very, very difficult position to win this game, as the Jarls will charge forward. The front line here, well, these Oyumi here need to stop targeting the Asgardian Bastions and actually turn and enjoy the fight, but I'm not sure that now player is in a good spot here with his actual army to take this fight. He doesn't have the front line to deal with those Jarls. Pulling back over here, Berserk's coming through onto this side. I'm pretty sure that was a villager conversion from Tunison, and Tunison does manage to make something out of nothing here, as player throws that position a little bit. I think he was more careful with the Oyumi sitting on this back position, taking down the Asgardian Bastions over here would have been in a good spot as the Inferno does get dropped in, sends right into the castle, does a big explosion, almost takes out the castle, but not really able to. And all of a sudden, well, player is definitely the player in trouble here, as he needs to get some units out. I feel like if he mixes in some Raiju right here and now, this would be very, very good for player. The one difficulty for player is dealing with these throw and axemen. That is the difficulty, without question. And I think that every Japanese player is going to agree. However, units that beat the throw and axemen, Raiju, Asura, Omuragi, Tamatachi, one Udon. The list goes on. You can basically say any Tengu, any Oni, any Japanese mid unit is going to be amazing at making those heavy throw and axemen's life very, very, very difficult. But if you don't want to use the favor, you don't want to spend those resources on it, then it's going to become a mission for you to actually deal with those throw and axemen, and then in turn also deal with the Jarl. However, Tunison gets his town center back. A nice fight here as the Onnamusha coming in. You've got to be careful. Fafnir versus Onnamusha is not a good fight here, actually. Of course, there's also the nice combo of Solar Shield plus Onnamusha here to get some good damage done. But that Fafnir takes a long time to actually go down, as we'll see where to next for Tunison. He has moved back into the middle of the map, grabbing this gold mine. So he's managed to get past his potential loss condition from having that very, very terrible fight before where he went for the Tempest. He's managed to get past that. He's in a pretty good spot now himself in the Mythic Age. He's grabbing himself the Frey's Gift technology. He's getting another Asgardian Bastion down for cheap. And the one thing that I would like to see him actually go for now is, without question, more Fafnir. You know, honestly, I don't even think he should have dropped the Asgardian Bastion. He's got plenty of income. He doesn't. The one bottleneck for him is favor. So why not go into Fafnir here? Force your opponent to make the more expensive, the more expensive Onnamusha, the more expensive Bushi, the more expensive Daimyo, and just counter them and take them out in the fight and allow those Fafnir to wreak havoc on the units there, as we are seeing a little bit of a cheeky side build coming in from Tunison. He's a very big fan of these. These Berserks will get chopped to pieces by the Samurai, but here's the problem for player. He's got one gold mine left, and that's it. He did a really cool thing where he left the home gold mine alive with the shrine on it, didn't mine it out, and that allowed him to go up to 3,800 gold in the main base, but he doesn't have any more gold. He has hit the Mythic Age, and effectively here, well, he does technically have this gold, but effectively here for player, he needed a very, very high value Divine Slash, but he did not get it. He could go into a huge amount of Asura here to make this would be a perfectly valid usage here. Like, look at the Asura and how much it costs. The one thing here about the Asura is 150 gold might seem like a lot, but it's really not for the Asura. So that unit would be enough to help him break through this and then get him onto a gold mine. That's what he needs at the moment. I'm not seeing him go for it. He is going in for Omyoji. We'll see if player can get... Oh, he's got a gold mine here. Excuse me. He's still got a little bit of play here. So even more reason to go into the Asura, as the town center on this side starting to get targeted down. Yumi Archer's going after the gold villages here. You don't want to allow these gold mines to get grabbed. A market is up for player as well. He's got 17 deer caravans. Makes sense. But losing this town center is going to hurt. Do these guys have burning pitch? They absolutely do. Tunison's got every upgrade in the sun. He's looking like he's in a great position here. Gold control plus town center. The only real thing, yeah, I'm going to say it again, the only real thing that player's got going for him is that he's got 90 favor in the bank and he has access to the Asura. You can build 3 Asura, have 4 total, and, well, what are you going to do to kill off that many Asura? They're just an amazing unit to take out this back line of throw and axemen, to help destroy the the Jarls as well, who don't have any bonus versus myth unit. They do have a bonus versus heroes because of the technology that they've grabbed there. You're going to be seeing a technology here, Avenging Spirit, to come through as the Asura does get a solar shield there. Definitely attack the Thrown Axeman with the Asura, though. Not going to be happening there as the solar shield goes down and everyone goes, look, Boit, the Asura did nothing. What are you talking about, myth units? It was one Asura versus 5 Hersa. Come on, guys. Let's imagine it was 4 Asura in. Completely different situation. Nonetheless, we've got ourselves a whole bunch more units coming through as the Yati Spearmen will start to come in. Bronze armor on the way here for player as well. And player will pull back for the time being. I don't know if he has the population to fight anymore. Look at the difference in military. He gets another Asura out. He's making a couple of them. I don't know if this is going to be enough, though. Look at the difference in military. This is all because of this town center going down, I guess, as, well, player pulls back and is looking for something to happen over onto this side. Does get himself out his Honengyo and the Umibozu. There's some cool ideas here, like teleporting over here, hitting these villages with the Umibozu, for example. But unfortunately, I think player losing that center position here, that's going to be it. Losing the center position, down 4-2 TC. He could potentially get some siege ships in and try and take out this, for an example. That's been a tried and true method of attack for the for players on Watering Hole since the early days of Legacy. But another hill fort coming up for Tunison just to secure this center. Of course, there's also the trade route. It's 25 trade caravans at 38 gold apiece. It's not an efficient usage of population there, and he needs it for gold as he's out of gold behind here as well, as more hill forts are coming up, and Tunison knows how to convert this position. More buildings, more forward pushing, more killing. Another hill fort coming up for Tunison onto the side, just to ensure that his water lines are very well protected. Of course, there's another angle over here. Was like Wassen not doing a whole bunch here. His villagers did try to sneak in, tried to wall this off, but Tunison too quick, 2 on top of it. Also has a Siege of the Titans coming through, and that there is a win for the Norse, as the Frere does manage to get a dub against one of the stronger Japanese gods out there. I think player had his opportunity here, but I also think Tunison had his opportunity to not give the opportunity to player, if that makes any sense. So basically, if player had played a little bit more, sorry, not player, Tunison had played a little bit more passively, would have been really interesting in how this game would have gone in the mid game. If he didn't try to force underneath 2 castles and sort of went to the heroic mythic age and then played that out, I think this game would have been very, very interesting. Then again, if player, after Tunison made that pretty big mistake, sort of played a little slower, grabbed his town center, set up his castles, slowly started moving forward to cut gold off of Tunison, I don't think Tunison would have found the win here. So a very, very interesting game. I also think there was a chance here for player to hold off on the Divine Slash, to wait with that one, get himself out all of his Asura, and actually then push forward to try and claim the gold, try and claim the town center, and potentially find a somewhat of an equal footing in the late game to have a bit of an interesting fight against the late game terror that is Freya. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next game.